Yeah, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana. And in the next 1 hour, we're discussing issues concerning you and I. It is the cost of living today. So we have a number of factors that are coming together. But what can we do to explain how things are going or to refuse explanations coming from government? How are we also as a people going to put together our resources, the meager resources that you're probably, earning, and how you can manage the situation as things get tougher by the day. Now, this afternoon, we're spending time with Wanda Madilo, who is a member of the NDC communications team. I also have from the Vice President's office is the Dr. Tia Abdul Kabiru Mahama, and he is in charge, the economic policy analyst at the office of the Vice President. He'll be doing that or spending time with us today on Good Afternoon Ghana. Spend time and also send your messages to us. You can send it to our contact or on social media page, Metro TV Ghana, and we'll read it as and when we make time for that. Let's take a breather. When I come back, I'll introduce the guests. You're welcome back to Good Afternoon Ghana, and now let's get into the discussion this afternoon. Yeah, I'm usually a morning person, so pardon me when I make those mistakes. Wanda Madilo is a member of the NDC communications team. He's joined us here in the studio. Wanda, you're welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Very good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Did you come with public transport, or you drove, or you?
Oh, I drove.
Or you came with a motorbike?
No, I drove.
You drove. You bought fuel before coming, or you?
I did. I mean, I've always been buying, and it's been terrible, very, very terrible. And not only fuel. I mean, it was surprising.
I didn't ask whether it was good or bad. I just asked, did you buy fuel?
I'm just telling you that it was bad because I felt bad about it.
You want to add to the answer you have to provide?
Not necessarily. Truth is one.
Okay. Dr. Tia Abdul Kabiru Mahama is also with me, and he is an economic policy analyst. I don't know if the technical advisor has changed to economic policy analyst, or is it the same? It's the same.
What do you advise on? So get the
technical advisor.
Mm-hmm. So what do you advise on?
I advise on technical advice, being better.
So it's the same. So it is basically the same because as a technical,
you're a policy analyst.
Yeah.
As well.
So your advice is having to do with your area of expertise or the area that you can support.
Yes, but you have been appointed to the office of the Vice President as a technical advisor, right?
So you see, the workings of government is. He's been in government, so he understands when people are appointed, when you are technical people appointed to work with a government. You can all be technical advisors, everyone, but the designation differs as and when the specific job you do there as the technical advisor. So the economic issue is more specific to describe what I do in the office than the broader term technical advisor.
Okay, we will quickly go through slides of what we want you to see and appreciate where we are as a country in terms of the more payments that the Ghanaian have to do. And I think the one that I have on the screen now, yes, is the average worker that earns 1,500, lives at Kaswa and works at North Ridge. So I'm sure the news team took a member that works here at Metro TV maybe to do the analysis. So if you earn 1,500 and you live at Kaswa and work at North Ridge here where Metro TV is located, then it means that you will pick a car that is maybe preferably Trotro. Domiabra to Kaswa will cost you 4 cedis, 50 pesos, no change in the fare. Kaswa to Circle, old fare is 6 cedis, 50 pesos. New fare is 7 cedis, 80 pesos. Circle to North Ridge, old fare is 2 cedis, 30 pesos. New fare is 3 cedis. And then daily spending on transport in and out, weekly, monthly, and what is left. So if you're earning 1,500 and your daily spending is 30.60 Ghana cedis. Weekly is 153 cedis. Monthly is 612. What is left is 888. Next slide. Right, now Average amount, okay, this is average amount spent on lunch while at work. So you have to eat, right? So daily, you are likely to spend 10 cedis. That is very low, very, very low, because a plate of food now is way over 10 cedis. But let's just deal with the average. So daily, 10 cedis, weekly, 50 cedis, monthly, 500 cedis. What is left is 680. Average amount spent on utility. If the fellow lives alone, averagely, you're likely to spend 65 cedis. Average monthly, this is average daily, so average monthly, you're likely to spend 40 cedis. Okay, this is light bill, this is water bill. So average monthly for what light bill is 65, water is 40, and then what is left is 575. Now, note that expenses exclude rent, breakfast and dinner, airtime, data bundle, school fees, if the fellow is a parent, and other personal expenses. So you are actually going to be in the negative should you be spending this way. Now, the Ghana Water Company, this is the proposed percentage of increase that they want us to go through. 334% increase. So the old tariff stands at a range of 50. If you are within the range of 50, then you're going to be increased of 217. In a range of 100, it will be increased to 434. If you spend in a range of 150, it will be increased to 651. If you're in a range of 200, you're going to be paying 868 by the 334% increase. 300 tariff, if you're spending this on water, you're going to be spending 1,302. 500, you're going to be spending 2,170. And then if you're spending 1,000, you're likely to be spending 4,340 for the increase in tariff. This is the daily living cost for average Ghanaian. Okay. So we're dealing with increase in tariff, we're dealing with increase in prices of food, we're dealing with increase in fuel prices, we're dealing with increase in transport fares, electronic levy, e-levy itself, implementation is also taking some from your pocket. Okay, do we have any more slides? Okay, so now, before I get to the guests, let me capture this for you. Note that the minimum wage of Ghana has been revised with effect from January 1, 2022. So the daily minimum wage has been increased from 12.53 cedis to 13.53 cedis. From 12.53 to 13.53 cedis. Just recently, Ghana was ranked amongst the top richest countries in Africa. And we ranked 8th. Good. We ranked 8th in the richest country in Africa. Now, with an economy valued at $514 billion, Nigeria was ranked the richest country of African continent. Now, Ghana has been ranked the 8th richest country on the African continent. I'm reading from Asati Radio website. The ranking published on the website of worldpopulationview.com indicates that Ghana's economy, as at the end of 2021, was valued at $74.26 billion, putting it ahead of Cote d'Ivoire and Angola, whose economies are valued at $70.99 billion and $66.49 billion respectively. Now, Ivory Coast and Angola were also ranked the 9th and the 10th richest countries in the continent behind Ghana, with an economy valued at $514 billion. Nigeria was ranked the richest country on the continent, on the African continent. And then meanwhile, Ghana's GDP valued at $72 billion and the total population of over 31 million. Ghana's current per capita income stands at $2,322. I want to convert this into cedis and see how much I'm spending, I'm getting as an income, averagely per month. So I think, let me just let it be the base or form the base of what our discussion is, just so we have an idea of what we're dealing with. And I don't like the facial expression on Doctor's face. Doctor, so you're welcome to Good Afternoon Ghana again.
Thank you, Anne.
After
And
all that I have displayed on screen, read, can you just tell us what the normal average Ghanaian should do?
yeah, I think that first and foremost, let me say good afternoon.
Okay, so the
to-
rankings on the screens. So yeah, you can also refer to it.
Yeah, let me
It's
say
right
good
behind you
afternoon to you and to my brother Wanda Madilo, and also to your cherished viewers. I must say that we've been here before. We've had this discussion on the national economy, and as long as the problems still coming back and things are not haven't radically changed, we will expect that we'll come back to try to explain these issues and try to offer some comfort to commensurate sometimes with the people who are most affected by this particular situation, relatively difficult economic situation that we find ourselves. So on the issue of cost of living, you've mentioned about it. I mean, over the past 2 months or so, we've been discussing it, and we've all tried to explain the causes of it. People have disagreed with some of the preferred explanation for the challenges we face in the terms of cost of living. We've tried to also look at the issues about the national income. I mean, generally, incomes in developing countries, and for that matter, are low. Government has been very blunt on that, and even as much as government wants to increase the incomes of even workers, we found out that workers even in the public sector are quite better than workers in the private sector, because the private sector usually sometimes has to do a lot of things, cost minimization, profit maximization in mind. So all those factors put in together create a sense of a bit of difficulty for most Ghanaians as it were. So we would expect that government will continuously find ways of mitigating the effect of these particular measures. Some of those ways of mitigating those particular measures is, of course, cost of living adjustment, when we realize that inflation is eroding into the disposable incomes of the ordinary Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Government is expected to up the minimum wage rate. The minimum wage rate, as you mentioned, is not supposed to say that Ghanaians workers should be paid 13 Ghana cedi per day. It is the benchmark value below which you should not pay any worker.
Right.
So if the government say, for instance, the minimum wage rate by law means that 13 Ghana cedi per day should be what you should pay a worker of the lowest skill, of the lowest qualification, of no skill at all. Once you are engaging a person to work for you, even as a house labor or as a household supportive staff. So that is supposed to signal the private sector in order to be able to do something about the living standards of the people. I remember recently we were also inundated with discussion about media freedom. One of the factors that influenced that particular ranking was about how media, the economic standard or the living standards of media houses. And I think that in the media space, that is largely liberalized, that is largely dominated by private actors. One would expect that they do much more to make profit, and once they make profit, they should be able to also pay their workers more.
Yeah.
All this together, government takes cognizance of the fact that we are not in normal times. Government, in fact, I was listening to even President Biden yesterday about the economic woes of the United States, the great economy, one of the greatest economy in the whole world, lamenting about the challenges they are facing, about cost of living going up, about inflation hitting the level they have never experienced for, decades. The UK is facing similar example, shortages of materials happening in UK, passport application and processing, the disruption in the global supply chain, among other things, have caused a huge burden on the lives of many, many people across the world. And Ghanaians are not exception. And this is the moment that the president actually empathize more. And if the president could do more than he's doing, I can put my life on it that the president would have done. We all remember the time that it was most difficult for all of us when COVID hit us. The president, under a difficult situation, at a personal level, I felt like the decision the president was taking the decisions were too compassionate, because I could foresee the challenges they will create for the economy, especially having to give people free water, having to give people up the salaries of healthcare workers, giving them, tax exemptions, having to, feed people on the street, having to
Are we
support.
still referring to free water?
That discussion can go on, but the fact of the matter is that what you have displayed the water tariffs. And we realize that as much as we are talking about payment and people are complaining about payment, our utility tariffs are still way below sustainability level. These people are telling us every day that in order for them to survive, the other day you were discussing about state enterprises report, that these people must make profit. At the same time, we expect that their utility tariffs should come down. You see, that's the conundrum. That is the quagmire that the government has found itself. And you have to always find a way of striking a balance in order to keep relatively majority of your people happy without necessarily angering most of them. That kind of maze that the government has to traverse is always the most difficult. To sit on the fence, you would think that things are easy and things it's a magic word that you just wave and that you get things done. You get everyone happy, you get salaries increase. But look, this is a country that tax to GDP ratio is lower than 15%. We are trying to up it to 16%. This is a country that much of the economy is informal. Many people are outside the tax net. This is an economy that there is aversion to the payment of tax. Before I came here, I went to buy some item, and I was to pay by Momo. I told the seller that I'm paying by Momo, and the seller was asking me to pay, to add, Momo, e-levy to the payment. I said, I'm the sender. I'm supposed to pay the Momo, and when I send the money, I pay. But you are the one receiving the money, should not be imposing Momo on the buyer. These are all behavioral issues.
I sent money to my brother. He went to take it, retrieve the money, and he was asked to pay some percentage. That because of the e-levy, he had to pay something, so it reduced by what he was
That is illegal. That is wrong, and no merchant should be doing that, because going to withdraw money doesn't affect the payment. E-levy doesn't affect the withdrawer. It is a sender. It's a levy on the sender. So unless, of course, I transfer money to you, then you also try to use the same electronic platform to send it to another person. That on that particular angle, that is where the usage of that particular platform is what the levy is on. But if I'm going to withdraw the money, no one should charge me for it. So all this put together, I'm saying that the ordinary Ghanaian is not finding it easy, and government hasn't reneged. Government is taking absolute and complete full responsibility for what is happening, for the challenges people are facing, not to the extent that government is the cause of those particular factors, but in leadership. Leadership must always take a responsibility. For instance, if you're in a household, children are hungry, the head of the household must take responsibility, irrespective of the fact that things are beyond the control of the head of the household. You must take responsibility. And that is essentially what the president is doing and will continue to do.
Okay, because of time, let me come to...
I'm particularly at a loss, and I want to take it from where he left it off. You always get this sense anytime the MPP wants to address the challenges in the economy that, it's not their fault. They are doing everything, in their power, and as it were, to resolve the challenges. They feel they don't have to be blamed for any of the crises we have found ourselves in. And it's unfortunate that we have been taken through this route for all this while that they have been in government. And unfortunately, when COVID hit, it became the new devil on which you can hang all these issues. And then in recent times, Ukraine. Yeah. But we are all aware that prior to Ukraine, prior to COVID, the economy has been in crisis. Now, and it's a bit disappointing again to hear them say some of these things, because our neighbors here in Cote d'Ivoire grew their economy by some 1.9% or so around COVID time in 2020. Many other economies around, where the sub-region have done far better. But Ghana grew by 0.4%. 0.4%. And it's unfortunate because those countries did not get the benefit of the cushions we have received from our bilateral partners.
By the rich country ratings, we are ahead of them.
Which countries?
The rich country ratings that I just read.
I'm not dealing with rich countries.
I'm saying
I'm
that.
dealing with Ghana. We're discussing
I'm just
Ghana.
saying that.
No,
don't worry,
because
don't
you
worry.
mentioned Cote d'Ivoire, I'm just saying.
No, I'm not talking based on what ranking you got. The ranking doesn't put food on my table. Today, as I was coming here, and it's good I brought this. He said he went to buy something. I want to show it to your cameras. On my way to this place, I decided to buy tomatoes. This is two. I mean, if you have the cameras, give it to me.
No, the camera can see. I mean, it's, yeah, you're
This
on.
is two, what? How do you call it? Tomatoes. 2 balls, or whatever you want to call it, of tomatoes. And this is going for 5 Ghana cedis. I bought it just on my way here, just to see what is happening, because we're here to discuss cost of living. See, I have Fanti Kenke here, and we all know Fanti Kenke. Fanti Kenke is sold today for 3 Ghana cedis, as against 1 cedis just 2, 3, 4 years ago. Look at this.
Which one? The Fanti King is how much?
This is 3 cedis. That's the cheapest you get. Maybe in, what's the name? The Vice President's Market, Malata Market. You may get this for 3 cedis. Come to East Legon, come to Adenta, come to the other places. It may be more expensive.
Yeah, it may be 5 cities. Okay.
Here is milk. I don't want to mention the name of the milk, the
so
brand
you took the
anyway.
label
Here's milk, so we took the label off. This milk was sold for just 2 cedis, 50 pesos a few years ago. Today, it's selling for 7 cedis, 6 cedis, 50 pesos. This is the reality we're talking about. Not sitting in Flagstaff House and making all of us believe that the NPP has done so much and you have done so well, and we all should be clapping for you and making you feel that you have done us a favor. Now, the reason I compare these countries,
remember
even
that
these countries you mentioned, none of those countries got the kind of cushion we got during COVID. For instance, and I can mention them for him, he knows that very well. 1 billion Ghana cedis from the IMF. That's $7 billion. $1 billion. That's $7 billion. If you want to rationalize this for today, 7 billion cedis came to Ghana free. We had 200 million from the stabilization fund, a fund that was established by another government for a purpose. This government went after that fund. That's the reckless kind of spending we're talking about. They also got $450 million from the World Bank. They got 400 million also from the USDR, SDR given to the Bank of Ghana. They also got 220 billion Ghana cedis from the Bank of Ghana within COVID period, within 2020. And how many years was the country locked down? This country was locked down for only 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
And after that, we went back to business. And I'm saying that at the time COVID hit us, this economy did not grind to a halt. I, by the grace of God at the time, was working in the construction industry. And we were exempted from the lockdown. So we were in town all over the place with stickers. The borders were open. Our ports were open. Except for human beings who couldn't go to work for a certain period of time. And that was only in Greater Accra and some parts of Kumasi. Why do we continue to say that, well, the economy is so bad because COVID has hit us and the whole world is in turmoil and the whole world is suffering and the whole world, and you want to compare US to me? The US minimum wage today is $15. People are paid $15 per hour. $15 in Ghana cedis is how much? So you are talking about working for 10 hours a day, you say on the average, and you are getting $150 US. $100 today is 720 Ghana cedis. Plus half of that, you're talking about 1,000 something. That's what the person is making a day. So stop comparing Ghana, the challenges we face, the problems we are going through, the skyrocketing, inflation. Today, as we speak, inflation is peaking at 19.45%. And you still have a government talking about the fact that they are doing so well. Where are the economic messiahs? Where are the men? Where are the people they promise us? Where are the so-called, production over taxation mantra? Where did it go? And that's the difficulty we have had with them all the time, trying to go on that tangent. Accept that you have mismanaged this economy, because in the midst of this economy that the president sought to tell us that we should tighten our belt, he was flying on private jets. How does that signify a country or a leader serious enough wanting his people to tighten the belt and follow him? How? Which of them depicts it? You have a president who, all of a sudden, when COVID hit, told us that, what's the name? Water was free in some parts of the country. This government claimed they have spent so much on giving food to people. I was on the street during COVID everywhere. I didn't see anybody hand over a pack of rice or whatever to me in the name of free food. Granted, people received it. Should that be the reason why the economy is in a mess today? And let me suffice to say that for all governments since, inception, let me even say from 92, every government has been hit by one tragedy or the other. In fact, from 83, if you want to talk about under Rawlings, the Rawlings chain, the famine and all that, the structural adjustment program coming all the way to the President Kufuor's one, the GPS, it was the growth and poverty alleviation. Then it came to our time when we had the shared growth agenda, then back to the ATEN again and all that. We have all had some challenges. In fact, the biggest challenge you can have in this economy or in any economy around the world is when production has grinded to a halt. And that's what we saw under Doomsaw when we had a challenge. The economy virtually was grinded to a halt because production was off. In this instance, that is not the case. You have just put together, some report for us and what people are going through, how crime has gone on the high because people have to fend for themselves. How things have become so bad, people can't afford even hospital beds any longer. Today, as we speak, the NHIS has received a total of about $2 billion. They have 2 billion Ghana cedis. They have only remitted about 127 million. NHIS is in arrears. Get Fund has been collateralized. ESLA has been taken off. It's a mess of a country we are living in today.
But the NHIS has responded to these allegations.
Who wants to respond?
Can I get a slice of that, just in case we have to make some references?
Yeah, he's been talking for many minutes. Allow me to get to him on the issue. So it is important that this government begins to realize that the challenges of this country were indeed created by them. Because prior to their coming, the IMF, the World Bank, including our own Bank of Ghana predictions, economic policy team predicted that the economy was going to pick up in 2017. Indeed, the economy picked up in 2017. It did in 2018. It did in 2019. Then the so-called challenge came. In fact, in 2019, you can see the trend of events, how things were going, that we're going to have crisis. And we did have crisis. Why can't they accept the challenge and deal with the issues as and when they come? Why always shifting the blame to somebody not doing something right? We were giving free water according to them. Today, if you look at the PRC's predictions or whatever, the proposals they are asking us to pay for things that we have consumed since 2019. And this was a time that the opposition told him that this thing you were doing was going to crash the economy because we needed these institutions to be viable. We needed them to make profit. We needed them to be able to make more investment into the sectors where they operate, and all those things grinded to a halt. Today, the MPP government still keeps telling us that there's excess capacity. The whole of yesterday, I slept in darkness. And if you see the press release from Gridco and from ECG, it tells you clearly that something is wrong. Why aren't they willing and able and ready to tell Ghanaians the truth? What is all this, trying hard to make it look so good that they are so perfect and so good? Exchange rate has exposed them. What's the exchange rate today? What was it in the past? Instead of agreeing that the exchange rate is the primary cause of the high cost of living in this country, they won't accept it. Why? Rice is a staple in this country. We import rice every now and then. So once your exchange rate goes up, and I used to buy for $50, and now I'm buying for the same $50 abroad, but I need more money now to change to get that $50.
Yeah, but something also affected the exchange rate.
What is that
you
affecting the exchange rate?
Our activities in the country can also affect the exchange rate. If
Activities in which country?
Why should the exchange rate be the basis for our problems?
Did we elect the MPP to give us stories? Or we elected them to solve our problem? They were clear in their mind when they took over. When we left the exchange rate at 3.6, 3.8, they told us that, in fact, the vice president was so bold to say that he has actually arrested the dollar, giving the key to the IGP. Is the IGP dead? God forbid. What happened? Did the dollar break jail? What happened? So when you make promises without substance, you make promises that you are not able to follow through. You make promises that you have no clue about. You create the impression that you have the man, when indeed you have no man. No man or whatever of the sort, these are the things that will happen. You will be exposed. So are you saying that the inflation today, look, just 2 weeks ago, TB rate was moved from 13% to 16%. Of course, that is to mop up excess liquidity in the system. I agree. But that is a very cosmetic approach to dealing with inflation. Why? Because there are many things in the basket of inflation that is causing the problem. We've had an agri minister, of course, on whose lap this country could have been a bit more stable when it comes to inflationary rate, because the basket of things in the inflation basket in terms of food are more than any other. And so you expect that when a government decides to produce more, you do irrigation dams, you do more farming, you empower more farmers, you bring in fertilizer, you bring in input, you support the farmers. What happens is that food prices drastically are driven down. And once food prices are driven down, the inflation reflects immediately.
Right.
But not to the extent that you are increasing TB rates so that you can mop up excess money in the system. That's a very cosmetic approach.
Right.
And most governments have been dealing with that for over the period. And we never thought that the NPP will come and repeat some of these things in such grave, form.
Let me go to Dr. Doc. Recently, the Otunfo outside this country made a comment about the free SHS and actually mentioned that it was putting so much pressure, on us, on the economy. I also know that there's an attempt by government to review free SHS, the policy itself, and do what is called targeting. I don't know how that is going to happen. I know that there are fractions that you are recording in terms of students who are accessing the policy. Some are not even Ghanaians. So we have a real problem in the system. But governments seem not to be coming clear with what really the situation is.
Yeah, I think that before I would address your question, there are some, excuse my choice of word, there are some untruth, very dishonest, very clueless, and very lack of depth of the issues that confront us that has been displayed by my brother. And he's gone the political approach. And when we are invited to have this discourse, we are allowed to do politics. And if you don't have appreciation of the subject matter and you delve into the theatrics and then narrow you'll make discerning people lose the essence of the conversation. If anything at all, he should not be telling us how to manage economy. The NDC should not be telling the Ghanaian people how to manage economy. These are the people whose record on the exchange rate, the last variable exchange rate, in 2012, our city depreciated by 15.9%. In 2013, it depreciated by 12.8%. In 2014, 32.5%. That was under their leadership, John Mahama, who recently has found his voice.
I hope I'll get a chance to respond.
In the history of this particular country. He's talking about exchange rate, inflation, under their tenure. In fact, even before I come to that, these are the people, when they were confronted with the depreciation of city, they attributed it to high-rising building. The same government. They attributed the depreciation of the city to dwarfs. These are the people who are coming this is their women's organizer when he was given a platform to speak on this particular issue. They said that there are some dwarfs somewhere creating this particular problem. They get
but
also.
Doctor, you couldn't be taking that seriously. That's not a position of government.
He is
That's
talking.
A position
He is talking for the NDC. He is talking for an alternative party. You understand? So if I come here to speak, you are assuming that I'm representing government. If he was coming here as an NDC person in government, you have assumption would have been that he's representing government. So when people come to make those comments, I think that with the greatest of people, we should not even allow them to continue in that particular kind of misinformed, very disingenuous analysis.
So can I come in? The reference you've made gave Ghanaians the opportunity to vote this government out.
I'm coming to
we
that.
are dealing with a problem now and want to go forward.
That's exactly what I'm doing. But I just want to point out the dishonesty, the lack of consistency, the absolute morass of lies, the ineptitude of leadership that is coming to present themselves as the alternative. It's good to attack. And when you attack a government, we have every right under the stand to respond to those lies and to those attacks.
I agree.
And it is on that basis that I'm exposing the disingenuity of this, my brother, on this particular plan. And I'm responding to the issues. When you tell lies, I should be able to look you on the face straight and tell you that you told lies about the growth.
Look,
Can you allow me to finish?
Okay,
You were
allow him. Allow him.
making comment. I was sitting and listening at you. So have some patience. Have some temerity.
Yes.
Have some decency. And
Okay,
let's have
address me, Doc.
As long
Address
as
me.
you're truthful,
please,
please.
have
If
some
not, I won't be
decency.
decent.
No.
So
Address me.
this is the government
Yeah.
that inherited his own government from the NDC government to NDC government. They blame what do you call it, Doomsaw, which was created by their own lack of direction. Signing, he talked about energy capacity. Even the president on his address did not know that the installed capacity of 5,000 that we're talking about, Ghana is being charged for that.
Oh, come
He did
on.
not know that. He's
See,
only doing his
embarrassing.
calculation. I have his speech here. I have the former president's speech here.
Embarrassing.
The former president in his speech, if I don't even know which people even probably help him in the writing of this particular speech, but the former president talking about excess capacity said that our reserve margin supposed to be 18%, and we have less than 18%. Just opposing our demand, our peak demand vis-a-vis the available power, to suggest that where is the excess capacity coming from? I was shocked that a former president would not even be honest enough to tell Ghanaians that the 5,000 that he mentioned is the installed capacity and what the IPPs are charging the government of Ghana for. But he was going around saying that it's only 396 megawatt. The 396 megawatt is what the excess capacity, and it's not even below the revenue margin. This is dishonesty. The vice president, the former president, went ahead to say that we are paying, we are paying for debt servicing for about 50 billion, sorry. That is lies. That is dishonesty.
What are you paying?
You understand? Because, you see what? He did not even provide a sheet of source of his data to support all the figures that were there. But come on to tell of the vice president's speech. He provided for every single, data. He provided the source of his data. How do you go to present to Ghanaians such an alternative? And you are coming to tell Ghanaians that you are the best manager and that we blame everything. The president never took responsibility for the mess he created in the financial sector, the finishing payment. He never took responsibility for when he had the opportunity to address it, he was trying to rationalize the mess they created in the energy sector. And
did Mahama not take any responsibility?
Not even
hold on. In the energy sector before leaving office?
He never took any responsibility as to the fact that he is the cause of that mess.
Did he make moves to fix the problem?
So let me remember, the president made moves to solve the problem, and in that desperate attempt to find a solution, he ended up creating a problem for us in this today that we are facing. And that's what we are just lamenting about excess capacity payment. How do you go to contract in excess? Of course, the rationalization has always been that we expected that Ghana consumption of energy is expected to go high, so therefore we need that much. But remember that when you sign this particular agreement, you must have a growth period of energy consumption and bring on stream those agreements you have made so that they will come in tandem with that particular expectation of, growth, consumption increase. They never did that. They're only interested in the corruption bit of it. That some of them became international corruption pinnacles of international corruption. We heard of AXA. We heard of Car Power. European journalists that brought it to our fold. This is the government that is talking about those. So when we are brought to discuss issues germane about cost of living, which is pinching every single Ghanaian, we must not give these people the chance to pick and choose and to present this kind of analysis to us.
Just a moment. Annie, good afternoon. The program, the Good Afternoon Ghana program is in fact interesting. ECG is demanding COVID relief payments. Government owes them. This is from Alhaji Haruna. And this one also says that, I'll come to you. Okay, this one says that, good afternoon, Ghana. The ordinary Ghanaian should appreciate that it's only this government in the history that have introduced policies and interventions programs that any other government. And so if we're caught in COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine invasion, we ought to pardon and contribute to support the government. Let's remember, elsewhere, the economy is collapsed. Big ups to Dr. K. Mama, you say. So, and thanks to your media house. From Original Muta, Belgrade City, Serbia. It says that, good afternoon, Ghana. It's shocking listening to the NDC communicator displaying propaganda at this level of modern politics. Probably he's not been around in a country and in the last 15 years. That's below the belt. And thanks to Dr. KB for exposing him. Good afternoon, Annie. As we're speaking now, inflation for April is 23%. Things are very hard. Government must be up and doing and stop talking. From Okran, Biehu, Ahanta West. Kweku Asari of the NDC says that, good afternoon, Annie. Bloomberg reports Ghana's inflation hits 23.6%, the highest figure in 18 years since 2004 when Kufuor was in power. This is, good afternoon, Annie. JM didn't make moves to solve any doomsday crisis. He actually solved the problem a whole year before leaving office. Please check the communication below. Some of East Lagos sends that in. And the communication is that the government has announced the end to load shedding, otherwise called doomsday, that has tormented consumers' business for more than 3 years. A statement signed by the head of Public Affairs, Ministry of Power, Dr. Kweku Sessa Johnson, said the Ministry of Power wishes to inform the public that a load shedding program in respect of electricity supply has been brought to an end. And remember, when I say that he made moves, he didn't solve the total problem in the power sector, because now we're still dealing with debt. So let's face that fact, right? However moves he made, to try and solve the problem is there, but the debt is also still on our neck, which of course informed the ESLA. I have to go for a break. Let me just go for it. When I come back, I'll give you some last words. I'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Good Afternoon, Ghana. We're still analyzing the cost of living for the normal Ghanaian today and how we are going forward with it. So, well, the statistics exchange has been on, and even during the break, you should have seen what was going on in the studio. But let me allow you to come in. We're just wrapping up. So.
Well, Anne, and yes. I get the sense in this studio, right in this studio, the pension from the MPP to take a posture as though they should be celebrated for mediocrity, or celebrated for the shame and embarrassment they have brought on this country. What government statistics or governance statistics has the MPP done better than the NDC? I say on authority that the exchange rate was 3.8 when we were leaving government. Today, it is 7.5. Will he deny that? Is that a better orientation or a better position they have taken? And then he talks to me about you should talk about rate of change. When I go to the pharmacy, to the Forex Bureau to change money, I don't talk to them about rate of change. I talk to them about absolute figures. What is in my pocket? It cost me 7 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos to buy $1 today than it was in the past when it was 3.8. And so this embarrassing statistic that they throw about and make all of us feel as though we are not economic students, it's neither here nor there. I have trained as a development analyst. He can't sit in this studio and try to make it look as if they are better off whether by brain or by the deed of work or the governance statistics that have been achieved better than any of us. He knows that very well. He was my very good friend back in the days, way back in 2008, 2009. And he knows very well that the MPP, under the leadership of Akufo-Addo, has been clueless, it's been inept, it's been very corrupt, and it's been endemically poor at delivering the promises they made to Ghanaians. Just take it on the surface. They told us that they were going to bring in what we call production over taxation. Even that has failed. Ghana Beyond Aid is failed. Agenda 111 is failed. One district, one factory is failed.
But Ghana Beyond Aid is a long-term policy. Ghana Beyond Aid, if we look into the policy itself, it should be a long-term policy.
When you say long-term policy,
it's not even an 8-year policy.
Don't exist in the vacuum. We should be able to measure the level of progress up to now.
I agree with
you.
They
have said this before they came to government the second time, and nothing has happened. In fact, we have borrowed within the period more than any government in the process. And you keep telling me about Ghana Beyond Aid. What do you have to prove for Ghana Beyond Aid? Under this government, even their own promises that they made. One district, one factory, zero. One constituency, 1 million, zero.
One district, one factory, zero.
I don't know.
No, it's not. It's not zero. So the last time Doctor was on Good Morning Ghana, he gave
all
me
the district, the one district, one factory projects are owned by private individuals.
But there's private.
Listen to this. Government has dime in any of these projects.
No,
Now,
let me make
I'm
this
coming.
clear.
No,
One district, one factory
I'm coming.
also
No,
accommodates
hang on.
PPP.
Hang on, I want to explain my point. Now, it accommodates PPP. Yes, I do agree. But we are talking about tangibles government has been involved in. We're talking about the wanton dissipation of our resources that government has been engaged in. What has that gone into? If I put up a factory, and I can easily call it one district, one factory. After all, since inception of independence, every government, everybody, all individuals, you own a company, I'm sure. I own one, I'm sure. He owns one. So tomorrow I call it one district, one factory, and that becomes an achievement of government overnight. And we should be clapping for that because an individual put up a company and then you want to call it one district, one factory. We should clap for that. When people are building tangibles. University of Ghana Medical Center is here. How many people is he employing? It was built by a government. The bank hospital is here. How many? The rich hospital is here. They are tangibles. Roads have been fixed. They are tangibles. And they know that very well. They came into government saying that, oh, there was a banking crisis and all that. Now, in this country, as we all know, it costs only 1 million Ghana cedis. Okay? Sorry, a million Ghana cedis on average. When I say 1 million Ghana cedis, 1 billion Ghana cedis on average to establish a bank. Because the primary deposit is only 400 million. So put another 600 million into your other operational costs and then, start business. So the 9 banks that were collapsed, ideally, if we were even setting up new banks, would have spent only 9 billion to set up those banks on average. In any case, these banks that were collapsed did not need 1 billion. Some of them could not only meet up to the 400 million. You collapse all the 9 banks and spend 25 billion. Paying who? For what?
In setting up a new bank.
25 billion to set up a new bank. How much did the banks require? The old ones require to be on their feet.
Okay.
Jobs have been lost.
Let me have
People,
Dr. Have the last
have
minute.
been lost. People have gone home.
Right.
People have actually lost their savings.
All
and
right.
then you sit in the studio and say people are clueless.
Right.
What is more clueless than the feelings of the
MP?
MP?
is asking you, is the cost of living not high? When did the Russian-Ukraine war start? Our economy had taken a nosedive long before the war. Ghana is choked with debt and borrowing by the government under the economic management of Dr. Bawumia.
Thank you. I think it's not a good use of our 2 minutes to answer a question by an NDC person. You mentioned that he's identifying himself as an NDC person in your message. So I'm not making an allegation of his personality. He himself has said it.
But he's talking
so
about what he thinks
that's
is
what I'm
fact.
saying. That will not be a good use
of
of my 2 minutes. But the good use of my 2 minutes is try to first and foremost acknowledge to Ghanaians that the people that this government is representing, that cost of living has gone up, and that government has taken responsibility for that situation, and the government will do whatever is possible to ameliorate the cost, the suffering of Ghanaians. That is first. However, government is still of the firmness of conviction that we cannot take lessons. We cannot take lessons on management of economy from people who have managed this country down the abyss. That cannot be the yardstick. The NDC is not the yardstick. These are people, yes, talk of data, these are people.
Neither is government the repository of all knowledge.
Government, that's why we listen. That's why we invited, when NDC had invited, I will not come. Do you think NVC Forum will invite me and I'll go to try to explain
myself? Because they will expose you.
You understand? But when you invite me, when media people invite government, when civil society invite government, government is part of responsibility to be accountable to the people and to respond to them. This is a government that, for the first time, ensured that at least every district is having an hospital at various states of completion. He said there's none. I think he has not gone to the villages. There are several.
Mention them.
Koforidua Hospital is ongoing.
Come on.
You've not gone to Koforidua. That's the closest. Go to Kumbumu, the hospital. Go to Sanoro. Everywhere. I can count no less than 10 offhead at various. There are pictures of it. You understand? He has mentioned about one day that there's nothing. When over 100 factors and said there's no dime of government that's going into it. Does he really know what he's talking about? Does he even know what he's talking about? So these are the things.
Tell us how much you give them.
Things that.
All right.
We're
waiting for.
Tell us how much you give them.
We should be fair.
We're waiting for the stakeholders to.